In this episode of the Saga of Umar Johnson, fortune favors the bold and the righteous. We have successfully converted the Queen, and now the seeds are sown for us to expand upon the dominion that is Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. The goal is formed and the iron is solidified. The moment of truth. We shall form divinity. The winds of change, once set in motion by Umar Johnson's indomitable will, now carried the whispers of a greater destiny. The missionary of the Black Hand is already reshaping the Horn of Africa, and his time, he sensed, was soon at hand to make a move that would echo not just through the kingdoms, but through the very souls of his people. His journey as an adventurer was only a prelude. The man possessed an almost limitless reservoir of power, piety, a spiritual authority so potent it was said he would commune with the divine itself. And with this immense piousness and venerations of his ancestors, now presented an almost unprecedented opportunity. It was more than enough to merely follow tradition. It was enough to forge a new one. We now view Umar in his personal chambers, a tent made from silks and artifacts allude. He is surrounded by various religious texts, but his focus is inward. He has a look of concentration. And there he stares at the map of Africa, marked with the spiritual and political spheres of influence. And as he stares, he muses to himself with a spark of audacious inspiration. Unlimited piety? Yes. For what purpose has the Almighty bestowed such grace upon me? To merely walk the path laid by others? Nay, but to carve a new way, a true reflection of the heart of Africa, guided by the purest tenets of Islam, yet uniquely its own. This continent, it yearns for a faith that speaks its name and understands its spirit. That thought took root with startling speed, and Umar saw it with the potential of greatness. A new faith was born from his own spiritual crucible, and it was effortlessly designed to unite the diverse peoples of Africa under a single harmonious banner. He would call his faith Pan-Africanism. And then Umar begins to sketch the symbols and furiously drive and make notes. Yes, yes, yes. It must be unique. A faith that embraces the strength of our traditions, that acknowledges our struggles, our triumphs, that allows the pursuit to power not as a vice but as a means to enact divine will, to protect and uplift our people. A faith that understands the hearts of its followers, even their worldly desires. Umar delved into intricate doctrines that would define his new path, his own nature, his love for queens, his past. These were not hypocritically denied, but rather addressed within the very tenets of the faith he was crafting. He considered doctrines that would decriminalize extramarital relationships under specific conditions, and also expand upon the right that might makes right. He pores over the doctrines and debates with himself and an unseen guide. Carnal relations, yes, it is a natural part of life. It is not to be shamed if conducted with respect. Outside the bonds of a spouse who feels wrong. Reincarnation? No, that strays too far. But the pursuit of power, yes, that is a must. A male-dominated, yeah, as tradition dictates, for leadership in these harsh lands. But with a place of honor for all, of course. We must respect our queens. And polygyny, yes, of course. We must have many families. Yes, up to 4 spouses as the prophet himself sanctioned. But there will be no bastards within the houses. All families born under me will be legitimate. Umar meticulously considered every aspect: succession laws, roles of the clergy, even burial rites. He envisioned a faith where clergy served the spiritual needs of the poor, where marriage was sacred, where mysticism was not a fringe practice but a virtue. And uniquely, he incorporates the sky burial, an act which he considers a return to the elements and vastness, giving back to the continent that gives to you. The clergy shall champion the poor. Their voices must be heard. Marriage is a cornerstone of building flexible alliances of strong families, and mysticism is a virtue for the whispers of the divine. Speak to those who listen with an open heart. And the sky burial speaks of freedom and a return to the eternal. And in this period of intense theological construction, it was a solitary moment for Umar. He was not reforming, but creating, laying the foundations for what he would hope would be centuries of spiritual and cultural unity. The peace of Pan-Africanism was taking shape, uniquely tailored to his vision and his own complex nature. And then you can see Umar staring off into the distance, looking as if peering into the future as he holds a newly inscribed tablet. It will be a faith for all Africans, a faith of strength, of unity and understanding, a faith ahead of its time. The elephant, that shall be our symbol, representing wisdom, power, and endurance. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace in Pan-Africanism. But even as he laid the spiritual groundwork, Umar understood that he would need power to allow his faith to flourish. He would need control of various holy sites and dedicated followers and leaders capable of defending it against the inevitable challenges of older, more established faiths. He was now progressing over to a more ambitious phase. And now the Pan-Africanist faith was crucially foreseen and created. It was a revolutionary spark, but even this divinely inspired vision needed an earthly foundation. It could not be willed into existence overnight. Umar was an icon, but his ideas were deemed wayward by many, steeped in tradition. Pan-Africanism, it will reshape our world, son, but its formal creation must be patient and strategic. We need a consecrated place, a holy site to anchor its truths in the heart of the people. Until then, we operate within the traditions they understand, even as we prepare them for a greater enlightenment. My current status serves us well for now. It was then at that moment that a messenger burst in. Umar, grave news from the Heartlands. The Coptic communities, they are in open unrest. Priests denounce your name, and Queen Kara's conversion to the Ashari ways has inflamed them further. Villages refuse to tithe, and there are whispers of armed rebellion. Abyssinia, as always, was a land steeped deep in Coptic traditions and was resistant heavily to the rapid religious shift that Umar championed. The very people he sought to bring into his vision were now a new source of dangerous instability. Umar would need to be swift and decisive in his response. Rebellion, eh? Against the will of their queen and the guiding hand of enlightenment? Well, that can't be tolerated. Such dissent is a cancer. It must be excised before it spreads. Let's make an example of them. An unforgettable one. And in this moment, Umar moved to quell the Coptic unrest with a chilling display of force. There was no room for negotiation, no gentle persuasions. He met the resistors with a sharp edge of authority, overwhelming and excessive violence that crushed the nascent rebellion utterly. Umar was not just a philosopher and a missionary. He was a power that would not be defied. The message, of course, was clear. In Umar's Abyssinia, peace would be on his terms. Yet, even as Umar employed brutal pragmatism to secure the domain, the complexities of his own diverse camp demanded a different kind of attention. The Christian nuns, steadfast in their vows that remain in his entourage, were a symbol of his capacity for nuanced rule. However, this did cause strife within the camp. Entering Ali Tash, a woman whose zeal is matched along with her devotion to Umar. Umar, my Fala, while your strength rightly chastises the religious Copts, we must still speak of the Christian nuns you harbor. Her presence is an affront. While others embrace the true path you illuminate, she clings to her misguided rites. Alitash, she is a woman of God, albeit a God understood through a different lens. Her presence here under my protection demonstrates that our way is magnanimous and strong. Strong enough to not fear shadows. But her existence here mocks our efforts. She is a focal point for those who resist. I believe it would be better for our cause if she were removed, silenced, permanently. You will do no such thing, Alitash. Killing a harmless nun, one who stays by my leave, will be an act of weakness, not strength. It would undermine the very Pan-African peace I intend to build. A peace that at times must accommodate even those who do not yet see its full truth. My plans are far greater than such petty, brutal acts. You will not touch her. Her safety is under my protection. Understood? As you command, my master Umar. Your wisdom guides us all. It was a lucky break that Umar was able to use his authority to avert the crisis with the murder of a nun, a counterpoint to his public severity. Soon after, the fortunes of war called him to action, presenting both peril and opportunity beyond Abyssinia's borders. He had found himself embroiled in fierce battle, and the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. "There are too many! We are being flanked!" shouts a soldier from above the din. "Hold the line! Faith and courage, the Black Hand does not yield!" And in a stunning reversal, Umar's forces not only held but decisively turned the tide. They broke the enemy, capturing not just common soldiers, but the enemy commander's own son and heir. A fortunate turn, huh? Ransom this man. His father will pay dearly for his return. 80 gold at least. Such are the spoils when Providence smiles upon our endeavors. With the war chest replenished, Umar returned to his camp, only to be met with a news of a different, altogether more bewildering kind. Omens. Perhaps from the divine itself concerning his growing dynasty. As Umar enters the main tent, a midwife approaches with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "My lord Umar, your lineage, it is blessed with uniqueness. 2 children have been born to your house back to back. One, a giant, strong and tall beyond measure, and the other a dwarf, perfectly formed but small." It was in that moment that Umar had a stunned silence, but then a slow and thoughtful smile. A giant and a dwarf. The spirits, or perhaps Allah himself, sends us signs of the diverse tapestry of our great people. All are welcome under the banner of Umar. All have a place in the coming of Pan-Africanism. Life is full of such hilarious ironies. And in his grand design of faith, he brutally suppressed the dissent, expanded his own dynasty's influence through war, dealt with deadly intrigue, and had strange blessings blessed upon his house. The journey continues. Whether a strategic victory or bizarre twist of fate, it seems to only solidify his conviction that he was a man chosen for an extraordinary and often ruthless destiny. The path Umar Johnson trod was increasingly defined by a mix of spiritual fervor and cold, hard pragmatism. His suppression of the Coptics in Abyssinia had not gone unnoticed by the wild world. There were many rulers and lords in the fractured land that saw Umar as a formidable power leader, unafraid to use decisive, even terrifying force to achieve his ends. Umar had graduated from being just a man useful for quelling corruption. He was capable of outright stamping rebellions in brutal fashion. Our actions in Abyssinia have sent a clear message. Order will be maintained. The foundations for Pan-Africanism must be built on unshakable ground. Our elevation to taking a kingdom is merely a reflection of the power we now project. But our reputation, it is a currency that must be spent wisely. And what about the holy site, Father? The holy site remains paramount. It will be the spiritual heart of our endeavors. All actions must align towards the ultimate unification of the continent. Even my personal desires, like old flames that I dream often of, are secondary to the grand design. It seems our recent display has already started to bear fruit. And with that, an envoy is ushered in, and he bows deeply before Umar. Almighty of Allah, Umar, your decisive actions in Abyssinia have reached the ears of my master. He is faced with dire threats and offers you a contract. He seeks your renowned strength to defend his lands, and he is prepared to offer a significant recompense. And as the envoy departs, Umar returned to his son and commanders. You see? They come to us now. Not just for wisdom, but for our might. They see a man who solves problems others cannot or will not. These contracts, they are more than mere alliances or sources of gold. It is an opportunity to blood our troops, to test our stratagem and weaken those who one day might stand against us. And through war, we will gather our strength. And the very sinews of war are what a true conqueror requires. Today we fight for them. Tomorrow, perhaps they fight for us, or make way for our dominion. We'll build our kingdom piece by piece, contract by contract, battle by battle, until all are ready to receive Pan-Africanism, whether by word or sword. We will accept. So Umar committed his forces, the Black Hand, extending its reach all across the land, fighting many wars, fighting in defense, fighting in offense. His reputation for brutality preceded him. He had forced many an enemy to fight with desperation. There were many moments of peril and danger where victory seemed to slip from his grasp. But the path of a conqueror is never without its losses. Every battle won or lost teaches us, son. Everyone, listen, listen. Every alliance and contract brings us closer to our ultimate aim. Do not mistake these engagements as mere errands. They are forging our own destiny as a power to be reckoned with. Remember these words. Consciousness over Coochie. Politics over Punani. And above all, peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. This path of war, these contracts, they are the politics that will pave the way for that peace. And that peace will be under my guidance and my faith. It is the only way to ensure that our vision endures. Father, so these alliances, they are means to make us strong enough to take what we need for ourselves, for our faith? Precisely, son. We build our legend, our treasury, and our army upon the needs of others until we are ready to claim our own as the architects of a new world order. The holy site is the spiritual goal, but we may not constrain ourselves to that area. And anything built upon these foundations will be with earthly guarantees. And so Umar, the missionary of the Black Hand, was at hand. His philosophy was paramount. His writings openly embraced the path of a warlord, skillfully using contracts and alliances as instruments. His fearsome reputation became his most effective ambassador, inviting opportunities to strengthen his hold. Pan-Africanism was established, and acquiring a holy site remained his guiding stars. But the journey towards them was now paved with the calculated use of force and the ambition of a burgeoning conqueror. The Saharan continent would soon know his name, and soon it would know his unyielding will.